The world's most charismatic and attractive paranormal investigators are back. No, not the new fucking female Ghostbusters. I'm talking about Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga, who return as Ed and Lorraine Warren in The Conjuring 2.
This time, the story shifts to England with the troubling tale of the Enfield poltergeist, and we're immediately introduced to the scariest thing in the whole movie, actress Madison Wolfe's disgusting fake dentures. Because British people all have terrible teeth, don't you know, what, up the apples and pears, chip-chip-chiroo.
The Conjuring 2 continues director James Wan's excellent work following the first movie. These films aren't particularly scary in their own right. They're more about capturing an unsettling and atmospheric moment in time. And this movie does that very well. Wan utilizes his favourite bag of tricks brilliantly. People get locked in rooms with demons, creepy hands appear in creepy places, and of course there's plenty of jump scares.
And jump scares are seemingly the go-to trick with modern horror movies. So while this movie is nothing groundbreaking, it's easily one of the better horror films I've seen in a while, as it doesn't solely rely on these jumps. There are strong performances too, especially from Wolfe, and the production design is outstanding. The sets, sound, transitions, and particularly the camera work are all excellent. James Wan is shaping up to be one of the best genre directors in Hollywood.
The movie is a little slow out of the blocks, however. The intro is very muddled, as Wan introduces us to characters dealing with disturbances on both sides of the Atlantic. And as the movie progressed, I also found it to be a little more toned down than the original. The atmosphere and setting are decidedly less creepy. The antagonist Bill isn't quite as malicious, and there is a hell of a lot of humour for a horror movie. But it all felt like Wan was purposely trying to steer the film in a much different direction, which is refreshing to see, with so many sequels these days just flat out copying the original movie.
Wan's definitely in his element, throwing in some really interesting scenes and character moments. We even get a musical number from Night Owl, but as the story went on, I was curious how they'd build to a satisfying conclusion, with the threat lessening and the scares becoming more and more repetitive. The hoax subplot especially slows the forward momentum, but then, just as it feels like things are starting to wrap up, the real big bad shows its face, and surprise, surprise, it's the scary nun monster. It seemed to me as if the film threw out the early good work it did in building tension and a very creepy atmosphere, and instead opted for cliche and schlock.
I actually really enjoyed the final act. To me, it felt like everything that went before was done consciously to throw the audience off guard. The two ghosts we'd seen up to that point, Bill and the Crooked Man, were largely ineffective and kind of became comical towards the end. So when Valak reveals herself, she feels like a more threatening villain to round off the movie, even if it did feel a little Scooby-Doo.
Why do demons always leave clues for the heroes?
It's obvious the story has been heavily embellished. Apparently the real-life Warren spent just a single day at the Hodgson home, and I'm almost certain there wasn't a transatlantic demon nun at the heart of the Enfield hauntings. But this isn't the first film to play fast and loose with historical accuracy. And when you start to think too critically about horror movies, they really unravel very quickly. For instance, if you have a poltergeist whose activity seems focused around an armchair, wouldn't you just get rid of that fucking hideous thing anyway? But I guess it really did tie the room together.
All in all, The Conjuring 2 is an entertaining and worthwhile sequel. Technically excellent on almost all levels, the movie has more than its fair share of scares too. And whilst it's not the best of its type, it definitely stands apart from most modern horror movies. From the reactions that I just heard in the theatre, the movie achieves what it sets out to do, even if there are some slightly odd tonal shifts along the way.
So, James Wan is a very busy boy. He's got several up-and-coming projects. One of them is the Aquaman movie. Are you excited to see Aguaman on the big screen?
What I'm really hoping is that they don't do what they did in Batman vs Superman. He was holding his breath. Clearly, I hated it. But at the same time, this is new territory. We haven't seen an underwater movie like this before. How are they going to communicate? How does that work underwater? How are they going to move and interact? From what I've seen in The Conjuring 2, I think James Wan can bring something dynamic to the screen.
Maybe Aquaman's going to be set in the Hodgson basement? There was a hell of a lot of water down there. Maybe enough to accommodate Aquaman and the entire kingdom of Atlantis. So what did you think about The Conjuring 2? Was Valak a credible bad guy? Was there too much humour? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And thanks for watching.